So my name's Rhiannon and I work at OPS, and we as a company have been working with education professionals like yourselves for past about 25 years. And over the last 10 years, we've been really focusing on school self-evaluation and improvement planning, which can just seem like such a massive task. And because of that, can just get put off because it enters so many aspects of our school lives. It can seem like we haven't got the time for it, so it just gets pushed down the to-do list right to the bottom. But hopefully, after today, it won't seem like such a big task. So today's webinar, Transform Your Reading Provision, is going to look at exactly this: self-evaluation and improvement planning, but in specific regard to reading and the provision that's offered in school. So what we're going to do is we're going to split this webinar up into 3 sections. So we're going to have a look at the Abacus model itself, then we're going to have a look at the online tool, iAbacus, and then we'll have a little look at some post-webinar support. So it should last about 25-30 minutes, depending on any questions that anybody has. So let's have a look at that Abacus model first, because like I say, this model really underpins the tool that we're going to look at today. So this model was created by a friend of OPS, John Pierce. Now, John was a head teacher, he was an Ofsted inspector, and he later went on to be a lead consultant at the National College. And something that John was really passionate about was helping people to improve. He wanted to see people grow. He wanted to be part of that growth process with them. So he came up with this Abacus model. And it splits improvement planning and self-evaluation into much more manageable chunks. So this model can be used for absolutely anything at all. We could have a bead for anything that we want. We could have a bead for leadership. We could have a bead for quality of teaching. Maybe looking at our reading today, we could have a bead for teaching of phonics. And this area here represents, this right-hand side, represents the area we want to be in. This is the outstanding, excellent, 5-star, whatever language you want to use. This is that really positive, that great area we would like to be in. So what John would ask people to do is to make an initial judgment of where they think they are on that abacus. So we might say for quality of teaching, we're doing really well. We're right up at the top here. But maybe for teaching of phonics, we're not quite where we could be. We've got some room for improvement. And just to help with these judgments, John would have 4 areas that he'd guide school leaders through. So once they'd slid their beads and put them in the place that they thought they should be, he would ask them, what criteria have you used to mark yourself against? So what KPIs or RAG rateable statements or trust values or Ofsted guidance, what have you used to mark yourself to prove you are where you say you are? Then he would ask them, what evidence do you have to support that judgment? So he would ask them to signpost to anything at all in school that proves the bead is where it should be. Then he would ask them to have a think about the helping factors. So what are the things that staff do really well? What are the things that school are excelling in that are pushing this bead all the way to the end of the abacus? What's really helping us move forwards? And then he would ask, what are the hindering factors? What are the things that are holding you back? What are the obstacles maybe? What are the challenges that are stopping this bead getting right to the end? And once they knew all of those things, they could have a look at that 4th step, which was to action plan, was to do something about it. So John would ask people, where are you? How do you know? Why are you there? And what are you going to do about it? So we've taken this model, this 4-step process, and Dan O'Brien, the creator of iAbacus, the founder of it, has put it in an online tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you so we can have a look at this abacus. So bear with me One moment so I can share this with you. So here is our abacus. So we're currently looking at the reading self-review abacus here. But as I say, this iAbacus can be used for absolutely anything. We can have a template for anything we would like to improve. So also here we have a school self-evaluation. We have a school self-evaluation but using the new and updated Ofsted report cards. And we have templates specifically for subject review. So this one's looking at maths. We've got an attendance, reflection and planning tool, and we've even got a Gatsby for subject leaders here as well. So if we just go back to the reading one, because that's the one we're looking at today. As you can see, all of the abacuses are set up exactly the same. So they have the areas down the left-hand side here and the levels along the top. Now, the areas are the thing that we make our judgment on, and the levels are the places we can put them in. So all of this is completely customizable. We can change the colours of these levels. I think some of these have got some different colours on them. We can change the wording of those levels as well. We can also change these areas down the left-hand side here. Now, when you create an abacus, these come as standard, but we can add new areas, we can take areas away, we can change the wording of the areas. Like I say, we can change anything on here because we want this to work for you and for your school. So if you need adjustments to be made, then please just let us know, because we want this to be something your staff want to use, find easy to use, and is applicable to your setting. So we have made this abacus using the DFE Reading Framework. So when this gets updated, it means we can update the abacus really easily due to all those customizable features to make sure you're using the most up-to-date criteria. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a really quick whirlwind tour of how iAbacus works, and specifically this reading template and how we can use it in school to really boost provision. So we start with the template. So when you log into iAbacus, you get the option to create a new abacus, and under template we're looking for theme and then reading. So this one here. And it will come up with our reading, self-evaluation and development plan. And it'll give you a blank version of what we have here. Now, as I say, this plan is based on the DFE Reading Framework. But if your school's in a different part of the UK and you use a different framework, maybe the National Literacy Strategy or the Reading Schools Framework, or maybe you've got a specific school or maybe trust reading objectives or reading plan that you follow, then we can input all of that into this template, and you can use the template in exactly the same way. And again, if that's something you would like, because it means it would help it work for you, then please just let me know via email, and we're more than happy to sort that for you. So what we would do is we initially pick up a bead and we make a judgment. Once we've made our initial judgment, this box here will pop up and it gives us a 4-step process to follow. And the first thing it asks us to have a look at is the criteria. So when we click on criteria, we can see here we've got a set of RAG rateable statements. Now, not all of the abacuses come with RAG rateable statements as standard. It might be some criteria from Ofsted, or it might be a block of DFE guidance. But what the criteria is used for is to help you double check your judgment. So if you click on red for all of these RAG rateable statements, it won't move your bead to red for you. Or if you click on the green, it won't move your bead to the green for you. It's just there for you to double check your judgment. And maybe after completing those statements, you might think we're doing really well. We could move up a little bit more, or maybe there's some areas that actually need a little bit more support, so the bead might go down a bit. But they're there to help you check where you've placed the bead. So you can adjust the placement of the bead and then press continue. And then we move on to the evidence section. Now here is where you signpost to all and anything that you're doing in school to support your judgment for the placement of that bead. So we have a text box here where you can pop in all of your evidence. You also can attach files and links to websites, again, if that is where your evidence is held. And once we've got all our evidence in there and we're happy, we can press continue. And then we move on to the analysis section. Now, this section is really important because this is what helps us to create our action plan. And it helps us really get down to the nitty-gritty of what is stopping us, what we're doing well and what's stopping us from progressing even more. So we need to put in all of the helping factors. What are the things that staff are doing really well at? What are the things the pupils are responding really well to? What is school excelling at that is helping push that bead all the way to the end? And we put those in the green helping factors section here. And then we put in all of the obstacles, all of the challenges, all of the things that are stopping our bead from going right to the end in our hindering factors. Now on the left hand side here there's a little arrow button, so we can move the factors into priority order if that's more helpful. Maybe down here we've got a really big issue that we're facing that we might want to put right at the top because that's our most pressing thought in this particular area. Now, the more specific you can be in this area, the better, because the more specific, the more tailored your action plan will be. These factors relate directly to the action plan. So the more specific we can be, the more specific our action plan can be, and hopefully the better we'll see our improvements. So when we've got all our factors in here, which we can add more at the bottom here if we need to, then we can press continue and it will bring up all of the factors that you've just put in those helping and hindering factor lists. Now, we know that it's unrealistic to work on all of those factors all at once because we really don't have the time for that. Schools are very busy places. So what we can do is on the right hand side of each factor here, there's a little eye icon. And if we click on that, it will just hide that factor for the time being. So we might hide a few and just leave the ones that we know we can work on right now. Maybe we might leave our biggest pressing issues on there because we really want to make a start on those. There might be some factors that you know you've already made a start on, so we can leave those ones as active as well. Then what we can do is we can press the little arrow on the left hand side of the factor and it brings up a really simple planning strip with a couple of questions to help us to plan this factor into action plan. So the first question is what? So what do we need to do to either turn this hindering factor into a helping factor, or what do we need to do to really strengthen the helping factor that we already have? Who? So who is going to be responsible for leading on this project? Who do we call if we need some help on this project? Success. What does a successful outcome of this project look like? How do we know when we've been successful? And then when. So in this box up here, you can put a frequency, so maybe termly or half termly, or if you prefer to pick a specific date, you can use the calendar to do that. Under here, we've got a little progress slider. If we click on this, add progress notes and files, then we also have an area we can put our progress in. So it might be you've already made some progress on this project and you want to add that into the box, or maybe every term, every half term, you want to go in and add in what you've been doing and how it's been working well in school so far. You can also, again, attach files and web links if that's where your progress is and it's easier to see it in that form. And we can move this slider up or down depending on how far we've progressed with that project so far. When we finish that, we can just press save and close and it will give us our bead here that has all of those 4 steps filled in. So as a quick recap of the model, we make a judgment. We check this against criteria. We supply evidence to justify that judgment. Then we have a think about the helping factors, things we're doing well, the hindering factors, the things that are holding us back, and then we can action plan to really tackle those issues, get rid of those hindering factors and strengthen those helping factors. Now, once we've done this, we might want to share it with others and have other people to see the work that we've been doing. So what we can do is we can export this to PDF. So we just press the export PDF button and then press export, and it will give us a report that looks like this. So this is really great for meetings or maybe to show outside examiners, Ofsted, things like that. And it shows us all of our beads here. Now these are all hyperlinked. Some of the beads, areas, you'll notice have 2 beads on them. You can add multiple beads to an area. It might be that you add one in the autumn term, then you come back and you want to add another one in the summer term because you've made loads of progress. And again, that's a great way of seeing the progress that you've made. But when you click on them, it will hyperlink to all the information that you've inputted to that bead. So that whole 4-step process we've just been through will be here in your report. So you've got your RAG rateable statements and all the colours you selected for those, all of your evidence. If you attached any files or have any web links, they'll be in there as well. You've got all the helping factors and the hindering factors that you put in, and then your action plan. So this will contain all of the planning strips for each factor that you have filled in on there. So another way I wanted to show you that you might want to share this abacus is you might want other people to be able to log in and have a look. And something that we can do, which is really useful, is we can share it online, which means we can collaborate with other iAbacus users and really share those insights and work collaboratively. So we just click collaborate at the top here. And there's a few different levels of collaborators that we can choose from. So the first one is viewers. So if you invite somebody as a viewer, they can look at your beads. They can see all the evidence that you've put in there. They can see all your helping and hindering factors, and they can look at your action plan. Make sure that they're all on the same page. Another one is contributors. Now this person can do what a viewer can do. They can look at all of your beads, but they can also add their own. So they can put in their own beads, they can add their own evidence, they can add their own analysis, those helping and hindering factors, and they can create a completely unique action plan as well. Or another thing we can do is we can have an editor. So this person can look at the beads, add their own beads, but they can also edit the beads you have placed in there. So maybe if you are a reading leader of a trust and you have a team that work together, you might want to have one of you put in for autumn term and somebody else might come in and put in at spring term or summer term, and they can go in and change that evidence. They can change that progress in the progress box as well. So that's a few ways that we can collaborate together, which again means we can share insights either across a trust, or maybe if you're a reading leader in a school and you'd like to share your insights with the head teacher or another member of SLT, we can collaborate with other iAbacus users to do that as well. Something else that's very useful for reading leaders in a trust particularly is to have a look at an overlay and a stack. So I'm just going to show you how to do this here. So we would need to put all of the reading abacuses in a folder. So this might be a trust reading leader. You might ask every reading leader within the school schools in your trust to do a development plan for you, and you can put them in a folder like we have here. Or it might be that you are the reading leader for a school and you would like every class teacher to complete one of these, or you're going to complete one for every class in your school. And then you can look at reading as a whole school or as a whole trust. So once you've got them all in a folder here, we just press select all at the top. And then this right hand box here that says choose an option, we can choose to overlay or we can choose to stack. So we'll have a look at overlay first. And what this does is it literally puts all those abacuses that you selected onto one page, onto one view. So you can very easily see here who's doing well, where the support is needed, what areas we're doing great in across the trust or indeed across the school. The number inside the bead just represents the amount of people that have placed themselves in that area. And you can click on that and you can see who they are. So again, it's very useful to see maybe who might need support in certain areas and then who's doing really well in those areas and might be able to offer some support there as well. If we go back to that right hand box at the top, it says switch to stack. And if we do that, it literally stacks those abacuses on top of each other. So again, it's just another way to view the support that's needed. Another way for you to be able to see who needs support and in what areas they need it. So that was a very quick whirlwind tour of iAbacus and how it works, especially in regard to the reading template. So what I'll do is I'll stop sharing my screen and then we can have a talk about the post-webinar support. There we go. So we would love for you to try out this reading framework abacus and to see the impact that it can have in your school. So because of this, we're happy to give you a 3-month trial of using the reading abacus as a literacy, a reading or an English lead in your setting. Once you've tried it out for 3 months and seen the progress you can make, we would love for you to work with us and start a project with us. So what we do is we assign you a project manager, and that way you can have continuous support throughout the year and see your reading provision transform from the start to the end of an academic year. But that's something we can talk about at a later date once you've tried out those 3 months. Excuse me. Once you've tried out those 3 months. So if you'd like to try it, please let me know via email. I will send an email out to everybody once we've concluded today, but my email is rhiannon@ops.org. So like I say, we would love for you to try the pilot project and then we can work with you further from there. At that point, we also love to start to talk to you about a huge range of different goals and objectives that you can meet in school with iAbacus. As we looked at the beginning, we've got templates for everything and anything in school, and anything that you would like a template making for, we can create that for you so that you can see those improvements as well. What I'll do is I will just open the chat feature and just see if anyone has been added any questions in there while we've been having a look, and feel free to put your questions in there as well. If you would rather chat me directly, that's absolutely fine. I'm more than happy to jump back on a call, whether that be Teams or Zoom, or if you'd rather stick with email, that's not a problem at all. Feel free to email me with any questions or queries that you have about iAbacus, and I would be more than happy to help. It doesn't look like anybody has got any questions so far for the chat anyway. So what we'll do is we'll conclude the webinar here. I'd just like to say thank you so much for your time this morning. I hope you've enjoyed having a look at iAbacus and in particular the reading template that we have to see your reading provision go from strength to strength. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and thank you very much for attending.